In this video, we're going to be doing some calculating, but using Roman numbers. So we're going to combine our skills of calculation with our skills of being able to read and write using Roman numerals. On our worksheet, we have two parts. So you can go to the difficulty that you feel comfortable with. You can try up to 100, or you can try with the section where we're reading Roman numerals up to 1,000. Let's have a recap of our symbols. So if you're only learning up to 100, you only need to learn up to C. If you're learning up to 1,000, you learn up to M. Now, there are only 7 symbols to learn, just 7 symbols, and you could learn all of your Roman numerals up to 1,000. We have I is 1, V is 5, X is 10, L is 50, C is 100, D is 500, and M is 1,000. So if you can remember that those symbols are those numbers, that will be a really good solid foundation for remembering your Roman numerals. If you haven't already, there is another Roman numerals video where we go over a bit more learning the numbers and how to read the symbols. So a recap of our rules: we partition the numbers in a Roman numeral number. We read our thousands, then hundreds, then ones, or our hundreds, then tens, then ones. And they start with the value that's the highest. So if you've got a 3-digit number, like a number that's in the hundreds, it will always start with how many hundreds there are first. It doesn't start with how many ones there are first. There is never more than 3 of the same symbol in a row. And if we are looking at the numbers 4 or 9, whether it's 4 or 9 ones, 4 or 9 tens, 4 or 9 hundreds, we have 1 less than. So 1 less than 10 would be IX. That's 9. 1 less than 5 would be IV, which is 4. If we're looking at our tens, 40, we would actually, in Roman numerals, write that as 10 less than 50. We'd have X and then L, XL, 10 less than 50. 90 would be 10 less than 100. We'd have X and then our C for 100, and so forth. Okay, so first part of your activity is to write your answer as a normal number. So in order to do this, the best thing to do would be to write them as a proper number first. So I've got 2 tens, and then I've got a smaller value before a larger value. So that means 1 less than. Okay, I don't have 1 then 5. I'm not putting 10 plus 10 plus 1 plus 5. If the 1 comes before a 5, it means 1 less than 5. And that's 20. So I've got 24. And on this other side, I have 2 tens and 2 ones. So that's a 20 and a 2. So my numbers are partitioned. When I combine them, I can do 24 plus 22. Whether you do that mentally or using a written method is up to you. My answer is 46. Next one. Again, I'm going to partition. I've got my L, which is 50. And then I've got a 5 and a 2. So that's 57. I've got 3 X's together, 3 tens is 30, and I've got 1 before 5, which is 4. So 57 and 34. Now, if you need to, we also have videos on calculating, adding mentally and adding using written methods, so you can use those if you need to. I would look at this as 50 and 30 is 80, 7 and 4 is 11, which means my answer is 91. Now it says write the answer as a normal number, so that means you're going to write it using the digits that we would normally use. For an added bonus, if you wanted to, you could give it a go at trying to challenge yourself and writing it as a Roman numeral as well. 91. Let's look at our final example. So again, I am going to write the number. I've got a 10 then a 50. That means if I've got the smaller number first that I'm subtracting, it means 10 less than 50 because my 10 is first. If you're not sure what I mean, then you may need to watch my other Roman numerals video where I explain how you read symbols. So this is 40 and I've got 1, and then I've got 3 X's in a row, 3 10s in a row is 30. Then I've got a 1, then a 10. That means 1 less than 10, so that means 9. So I have 41 and I have 39. Add them using whatever method suits you. The answer is 80. And if I wanted to write that using Roman numerals, it's a 50 and 3 10s. For our next activity, we need to make 100 and we're going to write our answer in Roman numerals. So what do I add to my first number to make 100? So here you're going to be using your number bonds to 100, or you might be doing subtracting. So let's start by trying to read our first number. So L is 50, X is 10, and V1 is 6. So I've got 56 plus something equals 100. 56 plus something equals 100. Now you may know this if you're good with your number bonds, otherwise you would use your inverse. So if 56 added to something makes 100, then 100 subtract 56 would give you your answer. So use whatever method suits you, whether you write it down using a standard method, whether you use a number line, whether you use place value counters, whether you do it in your head. Again, you can watch the videos that we've got on written and mental subtraction to help you if you need. But the answer to 100 subtract 56 is 44. So question mark is 44. 44, and if you want to write it using Roman numerals, 40 is 10 before 50, and 4 is 1 less than 5. So that's it in Roman numerals. Okay, I've got 10 then a 50. 10 less than 50 is 40. And I have a 1 then a 10. 1 less than 10 is 9. So I've got 49 plus something equals 100. So I could use my inverse here. 100 subtract 49 will give me my answer. So use whatever method you need to. Pause the video if you want to have a go before I give you the answer. So my answer is 51. And to write 51, I write 50, which is L, and then 1, which is I. Let's look at one final example before we move on to demonstrating the last activity. So my next question, I have 3 10s, that's 30. I have 2 1s, that's 2. So I have 32. 32 and something equals 100, which means that 100 subtract 32 equals my answer. Pause the video if you want to have a go at trying the question out. I'm going to go through the answer now. So the answer is 68. And to write 68 in Roman numerals, I want a 50 and a 10, which gives me my 60. I want a 5 and 3 I's, which gives me my 8. So that is 68. Okay, final activity now. On your worksheet, you have a pyramid like this. Now the rule is that 2 squares next to each other will add to make the answer above them. So these 2 will add to make this, okay? These 2 will add to make this, and then these 2 add to make this. Okay, now we've got 3 clues, so we need to work out which clues are going to help us. So I'm going to look at these 2 first. So I have got, if I wrote it out, and I want you to fill it out using Roman numerals, I'm going to write this out as a normal number. So I have 2 10s, so I have 24 plus something, because I don't know what this is, equals, write it as a normal number to help you. I have a 50, then a 10, so that's a 60, and I have a 4, so it's a 64. Very similar to the activity we just did, but instead of making 100, we're making a different number. So I might want to use my inverse. 64 take away 24 will give me my answer. 64 take away 24 is 40, and to write 40, I write 10 before 50. Okay, is it starting to make sense? Next, I'm going to use these ones because that's where I've got the clue. So I'm going to look at this number here. So I've got 64 plus something, which is this, equals, and here I've got 10 before 100, that's 95. So to use the inverse, 95 take away 64 equals, and that equals 31. So to write that is 3 10s and a 1. Is it starting to make sense? So finally, we've only got one left to find now. These 2 are going to add to make that. So here I've got 24, add the one I want to find, equals 31. I could use my inverse. 31 take away 24 equals something, and that is 7. And to write 7, I want a 5 and 2 eyes. And there I filled in my grids. So if you're working with up to 100, give all of those activities on your worksheet now. Just check whether you need to write your answer in a normal number or a Roman numeral, or you might want to challenge yourself and do both. But often you'll need to change the Roman numeral to a normal number so that you can do the calculation, and then you may need to change your answer back to a Roman numeral. Good luck with the first part of the worksheet. If you've enjoyed this lesson video, then please have a look at our website where you can sign up for access to loads more free resources to support maths learning in Key Stage 2. So that's years 3 to 6. I started doing these lesson videos in response to the school closure. We already have a Year 6 app on the market, but the years 3 to 4 and 5 are all being designed especially to help you with your homeschooling. So if you want to keep up to date with more resources as I make them, then check out the website and you'll be able to sign up at www.pocketprivatetutor.co.uk. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, where I'm posting loads of different puzzles and tips and tricks that you can have a go at with your family at home. Hope you've enjoyed the lesson.